All right, everybody. Just trying to wait a second to make sure that we are live. I am super excited. I have an awesome show lined up for you all today. Good afternoon. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday. For those of you that do celebrate, it's always wonderful coming together and spending time with family. Well, for most of us, right? Some of us that may be questionable, but we all have something to be thankful for. So I am your host, Jacqueline Kabah Harrison, and you have joined us for a Queen's Roundtable show, which happens every second and fourth Sunday of the month. And let me just tell you, you're not crazy. I was doing it every Sunday of the month, but I'm going to have to scale back to every second and fourth Sunday of the month, mainly because of time constraints, because I love doing this show. But make a note of that, please, every second and fourth Sunday of the month. I bring on a different entrepreneur, and we talk openly and honestly about entrepreneurship. We talk about the ups, we talk about the downs, and I see I've lost my guest. I'm sure she will be joining us back shortly. I'm telling you, y'all know how it goes with internet, right? Actually, let me make sure. Am I live? Yes, I'm live. Okay. So, yeah, so she'll be joining us back in a second. Y'all know how it goes with the internet. It's like when technology is awesome, but, when it acts up, it acts up, right? So she'll be joining us back in a second. Let me just tell her, okay. So every second and fourth Sunday of the month, like I said, I bring on a different entrepreneur, and we just talk openly and honestly about entrepreneurship, the ups and the downs. And we end on a note of encouragement, right? Support, and all guests leave you with different tools and tips and techniques to put inside of your toolbox or inside of your arsenal, if you will, right? To help you excel or to help you scale your business, right? I don't care if you are just starting out in your business or if you have been in business, your season, maybe been in business a year, 3 years, 5 years, right? Because a lot of times there are different tools and techniques that maybe we've utilized before and maybe haven't done it in a while. Or sometimes someone may mention something to us and we're like, oh yeah, that's right. That does make sense. Because I always say like 2 heads or 3 heads is always better than one, right? It could be just a simple tool that you're like, oh wow, that's so simple. But yet you implement it and you really see a difference in your business. Okay. And that's what it's all about. None of us is perfect. None of us have all the answers. But the thing of it is, we are all in this together, and we are all working towards one goal, which is to scale our business, right? We all want to scale our business. Dr. Clarice, yeah, I don't know what happened. That was crazy.
It was crazy. I'm logging back on now on my computer. Can you hear me? But right
Yes,
now I'm on my phone with my green screen behind me. But anyway, we'll work through it. And sorry I don't know. It just started, but it might be I don't know. But I got the white screen. But anyway, I'm back. Hello. Sorry
So
for
you know
this.
what? I was just telling them, no problem at all. Technology is great, but sometimes it can be a little frustrating when, things just don't work out, the way we plan. So it's all good. We are here, and I can't wait to hear from you. So I did the introduction of the show. So you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and who you serve and how you serve them.
Well, hi, I'm Dr. Clarice Kavanaugh, and I am a performance improvement leadership coach. And what I do basically is take you to your next level. That is my goal. I also teach as an adjunct professor at a university here in Los Angeles, California. And I teach organizational leadership and industrial organization. I have a podcast, The Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice, and we talk about everything. We have interesting topics for interesting people. And so what an interesting person today. And Jackie, and thank you for having me. It is my honor and privilege to be here. Basically what I told you, and I started this whole thing I spent 38 years in 36 years in pharmaceuticals, 40 plus years in sales. And I retired and went back to school and got another credential, a doctorate. And through this whole journey, during the time of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Ahmaud Arbery, I was just devastated at what was going on. I just could not understand what I was seeing and how much pain I was in. I was in really excruciating pain. Wasn't able to eat or sleep. I guess I was depressed. And I prayed and I asked God, what can I do to make a difference? And so through that prayer, I birthed my podcast, The Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice, and also got more involved in a lot of community activism, even more than I had been before, because I realized that it is important for us to not forget. As a person that was like a little civil rights activist young, I marched with Dr. King, I marched with Jesse Jackson. I'm from Chicago. I didn't forget. I didn't forget what it was like uh, before we thought we made it. And that's the pain of change. People felt like, how could this be? How can we still be getting killed and murdered and lynched? And thank God for cell phones, because if it wasn't for cell phones, these men would have gone free. I mean, Breonna Taylor's people there's still controversy regarding that. But for the most part, we know that, this no-knock warrant and all that was crazy. So what brings me today, Jackie, is talking about leadership. Because all these things that I just mentioned through the pain of change talks about leadership. What kind of leader are you? And for me, I think being an authentic leader is what we try our best to be. So, that's pretty much in a nutshell before I go into more. It's your show.
You know what? I mean, I'm so glad that you explain that to us, because that was going to be one of the things, is how did the podcast come about, and how did the name originate? So just even hearing that, I mean, it's a very, very powerful podcast and show, and just even hearing how that came about makes it even more powerful. Wow.
It was painful. I mean, I prayed, and I get teary-eyed because I prayed and I asked God, what can I do to make a difference? And what was I experiencing? What I was experiencing was the pain of change. And the reason why I call it the pain of change is because people who do not look like us suddenly realize the implicit bias. Like they weren't aware that they were racist. And the pain of change for all of us watching that, like it was brand new. Right? Wasn't brand new. We know it wasn't brand new. And that's why it's important to look at if you're going to be a leader, we have to be an authentic leader. And that's what we have lacked in our culture. Who are our leaders? Who can we trust? I mean, we see the L Sharptons. I'm trying to log back on. Hold on. We see the L Sharptons and we see the people, but who are the people that we can trust? We see them when only time we see them is when things get bad, right? Do we see Al Sharpton when things are good? No. So who are the people that we need to lead us? And right now, our children turn to rappers and athletes. In our day, well, particularly my day, we looked at ministry. And if you're working, what is the biggest thing when you work? What is the number one reason why people leave their employment? Their boss. It's not money. Money is secondary. So it's being an authentic leader and learning the responsibility of T.R.Y, taking responsibility for yourself. And that's something we don't want to do, right? We like to blame everything else on everybody else. That's what we enjoy. That's what we love doing. I didn't do this because they didn't do that. But what part of it did you play in this? What was your responsibility in doing this? Well, what had happened was,
You know what? Someone told me, and I don't know if it was told me, if it was told to me in particular, or maybe I heard someone, someone that was speaking. But I'm sorry, I heard a little bit of feedback, y'all, and it kind of threw me off. And when you talk about responsibility, I remember clearly someone saying, like, if you're like pointing the finger at someone, right? Like, it's your responsibility. It's because of you, that type of thing, that there's like three fingers pointing back at you. You know what I mean? And the moral of that story is that about accepting responsibility and how important that is. And just even just how, like, just nowadays in today's society, people are so busy pointing fingers at other people, and whenever you don't take responsibility for something, nothing changes, right? Your behavior doesn't change because you're not accepting responsibility for it. So I didn't want to go all off on a big tangent with that, but when you said that, that's the first thing that came to my mind, is the whole responsibility piece. So and that's what she's going to be talking with us about. So I hope you guys have a pen and a pad and just get ready. But before we dive into that, Dr. Clarice, tell us a little bit about you. Like, where did you grow up? Do you come from a big family? Do you have children? Like, what state you're based out of? Like, where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm getting ready to come back in the studio again. All right, so I'm going to click add me in the stream, and I'm going to click off here.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Okay, there you go. All right, so let me
remove this one. Hold on.
What happened is I took my camera
remove
down.
The other one and bring the other one on. Okay, here we go.
All right. So I grew up in Chicago, Illinois.
She should be coming back in a second.
2 beautiful daughters and 2 grandchildren. I have one of my daughters lives in the Washington, D.C. area, actually in Virginia, Leesburg. And my other daughter lives here in Southern California with me in a city called Carson, California. And I have a granddaughter, biomedical engineering student at LSU. Go Tigers. And I have a grandson that is a senior at Polytechnic High School in Long Beach, California, which is where I live. So I have been in California. It'll be 39 years in January. So my friends from Chicago never say that I'm from Chicago anymore. They just say, oh, this is our friend that used to live here, but she lived in California. So, and basically, my journey was through the pharmaceutical industry. That's how I got here. I got relocated through a promotional opportunity 39 years ago. Believe it or not, it'll be 39 years. And they relocated me and I stayed. And through there, I'm involved in a lot of different things in my church, the City of Refuge, with Bishop Noel Jones is my pastor. And I'm an AKA and a Top Ladies of Distinction. So I'm involved in other things, in terms of Toastmasters, just normal stuff. That's it. And I think this is the most uncomfortable thing for me because I never talk about myself, because I'm always asking other people. So that's a little bit about me. And the reason why I chose um, T.R.Y, take responsibility for yourself, is because I realized that through LET, Leadership Experience Tour, listening to a lot of things during that time and having to come up with a topic to do a motivational speech. Now we're both international speakers. Um, I got involved in listening to everyone's speech and thinking, what is everybody saying? My topic was take your great to greater, right? Level up, rise, right? But what were we all saying? We're basically saying, you know, you need to do 5 things. You need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to do 1, 2, 3 things. You need to do one thing. But what did that all say? You need to take responsibility for yourself. So that's how I added try, TRY, because you can't take your great to greater. You cannot be an authentic leader. You can't be a transformational leader. You can be an authoritarian leader. And we saw the result of an authoritarian, authoritarian leaders, what they do. And that would be like somebody like Trump and what happened when he was in office. He was an authoritarian leader. He never took responsibility for himself. And if anybody's listening, think about yourself as a leader. Think about yourself as a parent. Think about yourself as a friend. Think about yourself as a spouse, as an employee. Do you take responsibility for yourself? How many times do you complain about other people, but you don't take the responsibility of what part you played in the results of what happened in whatever relationship, whether it's parenting, whether it's a marriage, whether it's employment? You never do. It's always someone else's fault. And you know why, Jacqueline? You know why?
Tell me.
Okay. You're supposed to say, yeah, I know why. Because it's uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Taking responsibility for yourself is the pain of change. That's the pain of change. Nobody wants to say it's my fault. Nobody wants to apologize. Think right now how many people that you know personally have done something, not necessarily to you, but have done something and never apologize. Or when you suggest that maybe they should apologize, they like, I'm not apologizing. I don't care. But what is an apology? It's taking responsibility for yourself. What is an authentic leader? One who is honest about themselves, not they keep, I hate to use keep it real because sometimes that can go in the wrong direction, right? But they're honest, they're true, not only to themselves, but to others. They don't allow other people to bully them into the wrong decisions. They're fair And those are all the qualities of a responsible person. And that's what we don't like to do, be responsible. That's why people have bad credit. I'm not saying that sometimes you lose your jobs and things happen and you can't pay your bills. I'm saying it's the truth. It's the truth. I know people right now that are in situations and they're in their 60s that they can't get out of because they have bad credit. I know people that have done things to hurt people and refuse to apologize. All of this is the remnants and collateral damage of being irresponsible. And that's something through my lens and through my research that I've seen over and over again, that when you look at the foundation of good leadership, and when you think of people that are good leaders, they're always people that own what they do. Always. Whether it's on the basketball court, in a corporate boardroom, doesn't matter. When you think of the athletes that we call GOATs, greatest of all times, they were always authentic. Their authenticity was like prevalent at all times. And that's what I do my best. If I think I made an error, then I apologize. I'll ask someone, if it's something I did or said to offend you, I didn't mean to. Because I know that I'm chatty and I'm very transparent. And sometimes I may not have the filter that other people feel I should have. Right? And I'm gonna give Sean Fair a little plug because that's how I met you. And Sean Fair, what he did for me in terms of helping me take my greater to great, he was able to put together an epic platform to allow people to take responsibility for themselves. Right? In every story we heard in those 3 days as we sat in rehearsal, we heard people owning their pain. Right? We saw laughter, we saw tears, but we saw people owning their pain. And that is what authenticity will do. It will allow you to love yourself, forgive others, and own what you do. And you cannot, I don't think, be an effective leader in any organization or your household without being authentic and learning to own what you did and take responsibility for yourself.
I have to say, I hadn't really looked at it like that, but I totally agree with what you just said, or actually everything that you said in terms of the whole taking responsibility piece, and or shall I say about the found or one of the found or part of that foundation of good leadership is being able to accept responsibility. Now, wouldn't you say that in this particular day and time or in this society, it seems as if we moving further away from accepting responsibility. It just seems like oftentimes you turn on the TV, you hear on the news or you read in a magazine article where oftentimes people aren't accepting responsibility. So I mean that's kind of the way that I feel. Do you feel the same way?
I had to take a breath. What an excellent analogy. Absolutely. Good looking out. Absolutely. Well, we're in a world today of selfish people. If I had 2 cents, nah, that's too much. A half a penny, and that doesn't exist, right? Um, I'm not gonna. I mean, this is probably people gonna not ever talk to me after this again. But my favorite subject is the vaccine, right? And I had to just relinquish this and just say, okay, whatever. But if I could tell you how many people that barely finished high school that I know who have said over and over again, well, I haven't done enough research or whatever for this, right? Okay. So they're unvaccinated. When they get COVID, and they have a couple of people I know got it a couple of times. Two of those people are passed away because they still didn't get the vaccine. They got it again the second time they died. Okay. People are so selfish today that they would rather blame, even though all the statistical scientific data shows that it is the unvaccinated that are spreading the virus. So now, because of the unfortunate situation of South Africa not being able to buy a stockpile of vaccines, and by the way, people were blaming the United States, but that's not true because Biden gave them 10 million doses. And I mean, and bottom line is that the people who were in charge of the dosage gave it to the people that they chose to give it to. So you only have a 36% vaccination rate in South Africa. So moving forward, because of that, the variant has mutated so much in South Africa because of the unvaccinated people. Now we have a new variant, Omicron. So I'm saying all this to say, for the lack of authentic leadership in South Africa, we have another World Health Organization issue that's going to affect all of us globally. Because of leadership. It all boils down to leadership to some point. Well, I say some point is because of this. In other countries other than the United States, they take much more aggressive measures in terms of how they roll out things. In America, we give you a choice, okay? Other countries, you don't get that choice. If you don't get a vaccine, if you don't do this, then you can't leave the house. Period. With a T. So getting back, I know I went on a rant, sort of, kind of, but not really, I didn't. Because what I'm saying is because of our choices, our ability to choose, this is what has caused the discourse at work. If you look at recidivism in terms of employment, the high rates of turnover, the entitlement, people expected to make $150,000 a year. at 25 years old. And when they do make the six figures at 25, what happens? They reach that ceiling very quickly, and then what? They either have to go into business for self, whatever. But it all goes back to the fact that people are selfish. They're selfish. We see it every day. They don't want to wear masks. They don't want to go to work. They don't want, you know, we made it, you can get PPP money and keep getting your unemployment. And so they don't have enough help here. We have this new thing now. And I mean, I don't know if it's affected Michigan, but in California, they've got these people breaking in, taking sledgehammers and going to malls and breaking out windows in jewelry stores, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and stealing millions of dollars worth of stuff. Selfish, because they don't want to work. And we have every excuse, and people might be making comments somewhere that everybody can't get a job and people don't this, blah, blah. I didn't say it was easy. I was a teenage mom, single mom. Been on my own since I was 14 years old, because my mother told me that if I didn't dye my hair back black, not to be home. Well, you can see. Right? You can see that my authentic self. Okay. So 40 something, 50 something years later, right? So my point is that we're in a world of people being extremely selfish and irresponsible, where it affects other people. Not just the vaccine, but just if you call up for a service, well, they can't deliver it for 3 weeks when it used to take 3 days, because they can't find anybody to work. I mean, that's just from my lens. But I mean, I'm older. Maybe if you had someone here in their teens or 20s, 30s, or 40s, they might give it, they were more, a lot of people would like to say, well, they still say, well, what has happened to us because we're African American. And I'm not denying that. But where I question that is that you have African American billionaires and millionaires. So my call to action would be to ask some of these millionaires and billionaires, no, seriously, who are African American, to do workshops, to have internships, have workshops and internships that will be a tutorial of how to navigate through this racist, biased country that we live in. How did they do it? When I retired and went back and got another credential and decided to be a university professor, I did it to help people who look like me and who didn't look like me, help them navigate through the business world and the corporate world. But most of us don't do that. We don't want to give back. And that's part of the selfishness. I hope I answered your question somewhere along the line. But does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. And it would be so interesting. And actually, just I'm sitting here, and I just got a thought. That would be an interesting show, is to have people of like different ages. Because I'm pretty sure if we had somebody on here that was in their 20s, there's somebody in their 30s, it may be I'm not, it would be, I know it would be a different perspective, on just that whole concept of accepting responsibility. Um, but just even like me,
Well,
like I'm an
you
older
can
parent
face
because
both.
my son,
Go ahead. I'm
huh?
sorry. No, say.
No,
Let me.
I'm trying to wait because it's a little bit of a lag. Um, I was gonna say that like I'm an older parent, meaning my son is 10. So a lot of people my age, their children are in their 20s or early 20s. So it's like I find myself saying some of the same things that my parents used to say that I said I was never gonna say, right? And it's like I'm looking at this younger generation, and it's like they want everything quick, 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 And I think it has a lot to do with the whole technology era. I mean, like if my son asks me a question and I don't come up with an answer that fast, he's asking Siri, or Alexa. Just like, wait a minute, just hold on a minute. So it's just, I think it's definitely the newer generations. I definitely think that they are moving away from just the whole idea of, and this takes the whole conversation in a different direction, but the whole idea of accepting responsibility as well as wanting something real quick. You know what I mean? Because I know, like back in the day, if you will, people were used to working for things. Like I know I was always told, you go to school, you get a good job. I was always taught that if you work for something, no matter how long it took, that's what you were supposed to do. And along with that is accepting responsibility for whatever you end up with. Whereas now, I don't know, that almost seems like that's like, I don't know, just like a thing of the past. Like nobody wants to accept responsibility. If you mess up something, it's like, oh well, we can fix that. But still, it's like that's an after the fact fix. That's not really accepting responsibility. So I don't know. I'm just look. I find myself constantly like scratching my head. Like I don't know. I don't know what's going on nowadays.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know either, but when you were sharing that, I thought about something that I hadn't thought about really before. What about the parents now? In my day, and I'm much older than you. My kids may be your age. So um, in my day, if you messed up, it was a village. Your neighbor was going to tell your mother, and because your neighbor had to check you and tell your mother, you was going to be punished. You were going to be spanked, whooped, whatever you want to call it. And that was just the way it was. You didn't you didn't talk back to people. You didn't do anything. But today, if you tell a parent about their children, so listen to this, Jackie. This we come up with something here. So if you tell the parent about their kids, how many times? Because I know you're not in some kind of island. So if it hasn't happened to you and your son or daughter, you've seen it somewhere. If you tell the parent, you know what, Johnny was doing so and so outside, and I told him he shouldn't do that, and I just wanted you to know because if the police had driven by, blah 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 blah, right? Okay. So but what your response is this. Well, my son would never do that. Uh-uh. I, you need to stick to your own business because that's not you right? Go back if that happened. You going in the house and get Johnny. You gonna make Johnny apologize to me. Then you gonna take Johnny in the house and whip his behind or punish him in some way by taking away this. That's what the problem is. I teach graduate students, PhD, doctoral students, and master candidates. I can't even imagine teaching undergrad or small children because I would have to deal with their parents. And everyone who tells me that they teach, they say, well, they say the kids is so hard to deal with now. But no one ever says that the parents don't support the teachers. You would think after the pandemic or during, where it's still, DC during COVID, you would think through the whole thing from March into September of 2020, March of 2020 to 2021, parents saw how difficult it was to teach the kids. Okay? Children are behind light years because of the fact that their parents were not engaged and were not able to do the job that they thought that the teachers wasn't doing. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So these parents have been mad because they expect the teachers to do this, and this with their kids. But what they haven't been doing is supporting the teachers. And then when they have to do it, they're complaining. They're making excuses again about why their kids is this. So what we're really looking at is the parenting that has happened. There is no responsibility. You have a record number, an alarming number of even teenage and children suicides. How did you not know something is wrong with your child? How? Because you ain't talking to your child. You on the phone, you on Gram, you taking selfies. You don't know. But it's all taking responsibility for yourself. No matter how we spin it. That's why I'm saying, Jacqueline, no matter how we spin it, no matter how many motivational talks you hear, no matter how many retreats you go to rejuvenate, elevate, and rebuild yourself, it all is taking responsibility for yourself.
I have a question. You said you teach graduate students, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. Do you find, is there an issue with a lot of them not accepting responsibility for like their grades and their conduct during class and their participation?
Uh-huh. I had a student email me and she said, Dr. Kavanaugh, I emailed you and you didn't respond. And you know what I responded? I said, I saw your email and yes, you're correct. I did not respond because we've gone over this since August 30th. This is November 27th. Review the comments that I've given you for your grades and your emails. I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. See you next week. Yes, ma'am. I have a student that uh, I'll tell you this offline. The only the students that I failed have been men, and they look like me. Tons of excuses. And you know what I say? I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, either you need to catch up on your assignments or you need to drop the class. What's your choices? And I tell my students all the time, I love you, I laugh with you, but I'll fail you. Okay, it's real simple. I'll snot, I'll cry, I'll be like, oh,
Right.
I'm
And
so
then I'll
sorry. Yeah, yeah. I open the class with that. And when I introduce myself, I will laugh with you. I'm very transparent. You guys can text me. I will respond. I tell them the best way to reach me is through text. You need something from me, text me if you want to respond. Because I don't always check my mail from the school constantly. I might check it twice a day. So you may catch me where I checked it and I might not check it again to the next day. So yeah, no, honey. And I teach people that basically of every nationality that you could think of. I teach and they're all adult learners. And this group I have now is the youngest group that I've ever had. And they're the most can't, it is like, oh. And some of them, but see, the reason why I don't pay any attention, because like I tell them, if 3 people got it and 4 people didn't, then you probably need to go talk to the 3 people that did. Because I didn't have to, they understood the assignment. So I don't know why they understood what I said, but you don't. But when I look, missing assignments, late assignments, so it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And they can be disrespectful.
I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'm a social worker, I'm a clinician, and right now I'm doing therapy. So I work in a what is it called? Lord have mercy, I'm drawing a blank. Outpatient mental health clinic. And
Oh,
I deal with all adults, 18 and up. And it's just amazing at how people can like be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and they are just now learning the concept of taking responsibility. And it's like when people don't teach their children that, they are crippling them. You know what I mean? Because when you go out there and you have a job, you know, okay, you can make up all the excuses in the world. You may be able to float or, whatever for a little while, but the bottom line is eventually you're going to get fired. You know what I mean? Don't nobody want to hear those excuses over and over again. So it's like when people don't teach their children that, they're crippling them. And I think a lot of times when parents, because and I'll be honest with you, sometimes when someone tells me something about my son, like in school, sometimes I get the thought of, well, wait a minute, are you telling me the truth, or no, I don't think he did that, or whatever. And I had to stop myself and say, wait a minute, I have to explore and keep an open mind, and just look at the whole situation in its totality. You know what I mean? And if it comes down that yes, he was being done unfairly, that's different. You know what I mean? But I have to really look at it openly, because the thing of it is, when I jump in there, you know what I mean? If I jump out there and don't allow him to assume any responsibility, then that's the message that he's learning from that. You know what I mean? I don't have to assume responsibility. And when I'm younger, my mother would take care of it. And as he gets older, you know what I mean? It'll be okay. Let me point the finger. Let me flip it back on the other people.
When he
And
gets older,
you
the
lose.
police will be taking care of it.
Okay. Okay.
That's the truth.
Yes, it is.
That's the truth. That's who will be taking care of it. Because what the police need to learn how to de-escalate the situation instead of escalate the situation. But parents need to understand that police are under a lot of stress and they ain't happy. So if you putting your child at risk to be involved with anybody that's stressed out and not happy, then you're probably not going to have a good outcome. So instead of you worried about what the police need to change and do, you need to make sure your children are safe and don't get into situations that they have to interact with the police. That's what I always say. The police are wrong on every level in so many ways. It's endless. But we have to teach our children things like if the police pull you over, say, hello, officer, here's my license. Now, if you consider that a sellout, fine. But he alive or she alive, okay, here's my license and I'm reaching into the glove box. Here's my hands. Here's my implement. This is what you do. They have a gun. I mean, I've gotten very few tickets in my life. That's because when the police stop me, I'm like coming up with some funny joke. Okay. you know, like, okay, I know I'm wrong, but again, like what you said, teacher tells you something. The first thing you want to say is, well, instead of saying, what can I do to help? And reflect back on what you do in your clientele of people 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 and beyond that you say are learning to take responsibility for themselves, but have they learned? Right? Have they learned? Because in therapy, that I'm sure that a lot of this therapy is what? Court ordered? Some
of it, yes.
Uh-oh, I think we froze it again.
Oh, I froze?
I think, we were both frozen. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that if you want to be your best and take your great to greater, then the key is simple. It's very simple. You got to learn to take responsibility for yourself, T.R.Y. You can't go to your great to greater. Great is waking up this morning. That was great. On our own. Mm-hmm. Nobody was saying, wake up, Miss Kavanaugh. I got to take your temperature. Got to take your meds. Yeah. Or shaking you and you don't wake up. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have to be mindful to be less selfish. That's a whole other topic. Mm-hmm. Selfishness. And how people feel that it's okay for their actions to cause you a problem.
So let's go ahead, and I do apologize, but we have to go ahead and end, everyone.
Okay, now that's fine. I've got 2 more podcasts to do, so that's, Right. Okay, my podcast. Okay.
So definitely, you see her website here. Check her out. Reach out to her, and she has a couple of more shows. She has a show that she's going to be doing 2 episodes today. So go ahead and go to her page, right, and check
The
her out.
Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice. You can reach me at on the Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice at YouTube, or either I can't put the link on, but with either YouTube or Facebook or my page, Clarice Kavanaugh. And I have a show today at 2 p.m., which is Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time, and 5 p 4 4 3 2 3 2 4 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's with Alonzo Williams, who is a prostate cancer survivor. And then I have a pop-up show at 3:30 with Barbara J. Odom, who is going to talk about her new book and her project, The Fallen Pedestal. And Barbara is an entrepreneur. She has a huge accounting firm in Atlanta and Los Angeles, and she's also not author, a mother, a wife, and an amazing woman. So I would love for them to click like for Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube page and join me. And we have fun. It's interesting topics with interesting people. I look forward to you being on the show anytime. We have to come up with some dates, talk about the Queen's Roundtable show and podcast, and how you came to that vision. I
I
just
think we
want
do have a date. I thought you said
to.
maybe December 18th or December 19th or something like that.
Oh, right. We have a show. Wait a minute. We have a show December 19th. Wait a minute.
19th? Okay.
Right. I'm
I knew it was
sorry.
the 18th or the
That's what I
19th
said.
because
I'm
I'm
looking
excited.
forward to you coming December 19th.
Okay.
The Queen will be on the Pain of Change. And that's going to be a great show for us, talking about your ventures and all the things. We're even going to I want to talk about then about virtual assistants and stuff, because I think that's stuff we need to explore more. But Jacqueline, thank you so much for having me. It has been indeed my pleasure. I'm excited that I was able to share some of my views on some of everything. But I hope people walked away understanding the fact of authentic leadership, and the responsibility of an authentic leader is basically T.R.Y, taking responsibility for yourself, taking your great to greater, leveling up and rise. That's me, right? And I
Yeah.
appreciate you helping me today take my greater to greater and level up and rise. And I do thank you. I mean, this has been a great show for me. I do appreciate it. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you and talking to you real soon. And thanks everybody
Absolutely.
for watching and listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, everyone. I always forget to say this. Definitely share the broadcast out. Tag another friend, another fellow colleague, consultant. Please share the broadcast out. Thank you for those of you that have joined us live. And thank you for those that will catch the replay. And please leave whatever questions or comments you have for us. We will definitely double back and, reach out to you, answer them, and so forth. But definitely check Dr. Clarice out, and please support her as well as her show. And thank you all for all of your ongoing support. And I have some exciting things that are coming up for next month. I'm going to be talking to different relationship coaches, as well as a couple of, or maybe at least one, maybe two couples, and they're going to share some trials and tribulations with us. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming up next month. I will let you guys know the specifics. So again, I'm Jacqueline Kabah Harrison, and you have joined us for another awesome episode of A Queen's Roundtable Show. And thank you again. And I will talk to everyone soon. All right, ladies and gents, talk to y'all again soon.
Don't take me off. Let's stay on.
Okay.
If
Just let me.
Okay.